But you see, when I discovered that what pornography does to the brain, how damage it gets the brain gets damaged by watching those things. For me, it was different because being a woman for me was making a living. It was to pay the rent, pay the bills. But then before 11, I was about 8 or 9, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 8, when I got molested by a person from church.
But let's bring this to a close. Hey guys, welcome to a very special interview with Jean-Michel. Jean-Michel has a very powerful testimony to share with all of us. When you just look at the bio, there's enough testimony there. He has lived in more than 5 different countries. He speaks more than 5 different languages. And his interests are just as varied. He is a musician and has a passion for music. But today he will be speaking to us about how God worked in his life to transition from a homosexual lifestyle to being a disciple of Jesus. I am excited to hear this story, and I hope you are as well. So join me now as we listen to Jean-Michel's testimony. Hi, Jean-Michel. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. I'm very well. Thank you, by the grace of God.
Praise God. Are you ready to tell us about your story?
Always.
Praise God. That's amazing. So before we dive right into it, let's pray and ask God for guidance.
Sure.
Our Father in heaven, thank you for this amazing time you've given us to hear about your power, how you work, and how you worked in Jean-Michel's life. Father, I pray that as he tells us his story, that you would speak through him and highlight to us what needs to be highlighted. This is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
We have a lot to unpack, and this is not one of those easy discussions to have. And sometimes it's even hard to know where to begin, but let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us a bit about your background as a child, early life? How was it like?
Yes, I was born in a French island in the Caribbean. And so I was born into within Seventh Adventist family and community as well. My parents were very committed to church. And so my mother was a singing sister at church, very involved with Sabbath lessons and helping the church. And so I was born discovering all those different possibilities to serve the Lord. And so with the singing from my mother, I was able to be a child, a singer, a church child singer in the Caribbean. And so every Sabbath, it was a mission to sing in 1 or 2 different churches in the city in the French Caribbean. And so, we were going through Bible reading and studying too. Even Ellen G. White, I've heard of her very, very young, a very young age.
Yeah.
So my mother was reading a lot of Ellen G. White to me at night. And yes, we are the family, brothers, sisters, and my father. We were doing we say le culte in French.
What does that mean?
It means it's like making the meeting prayer before going to bed
Every day.
Wow. And every morning, so day and night.
Wow.
So it was really it was on schedule every day.
On schedule. Sounds like you had a very strict childhood, eh?
Yes, indeed. The education very strict, and God was really part of our lives, and there was nothing that we would do without asking God. And so it was. We used to even fast. I remember when I was a child, we used to fast as well. So yes, it was really a Seventh-day Adventist community in the neighborhood as well. Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like you had a very good relationship with church. Like you're involved.
Yes, indeed. Very, very committed. Even at school, I went to Seventh-day Adventist schools as well. So all my childhood, even to go into until my teenager as well, it was all with the Seventh-day Adventist school. So
Wow. So even high school.
Seventh-day Adventist.
Wow. So then what happened? Because there's a stage where you leave the church. What happened?
Yes, I got baptized. I was 14,
Mm-hmm.
and so my mother started to be sick and go to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and she was there. I was 14, and then 15, 17, and I was 17 when she passed away. So I was back in the Caribbean, and so at the age of 18, this is the time when I actually left the Caribbean to go to Europe in France, and basically it all started there because even though arriving in France, I mean Paris, I was still going to church, but I remember I started to go at church in the morning on Sabbath, and at night, Saturday night, I would go out in the city and looking and visiting. And this is how I discovered the nightclubs in France, in Paris.
Interesting. So you didn't leave the church, you left for Paris. It's different, right?
That's right.
Okay, so back in Martinique, right?
Yeah.
So you were involved in the church and everything was going great. Did you face any challenges in your Christian walk at that time?
Yes, because I remember, but even at school, people were already screaming at me all kinds of names because I was very feminine when I was a child.
Okay.
And so I felt like I was different from everyone else, and people were telling me also that I was different. Some other people, they would let their dogs run after me
Wow.
to bite me in some other places I've been in the city. Sometimes when I go to sing at the church or at school, at the church in the school, because at school there was a church.
Right.
They would disconnect the microphone
What?
while I was singing. Yeah, they were playing with me all around. Yeah.
That's crazy. So when did you discover that you were different or that you were more feminine? When did you discover that?
The feminine part, I discovered I was about 11 or so. But then before 11, I was about 8 or 9. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 8 when I got molested by a person from church. So I was already 8-year-old. So when I was 11, I was already into doing the sexual action, I would say. But then when I was 11, then I discovered that the body language was different.
So before the incident happened, the abuse happened, did you feel different before that, or is the abuse what led to you feeling different?
You see, when you're little, you don't really realize that you are different.
Right.
Especially, I wasn't really, playing with boys or girls outside because my parents never liked that. But
Right.
I never really saw the difference until I really actually, yeah. Because even at school, I mean, even I was still, mingling with little boys and little girls, but it wasn't that obvious until I got about 11-year-olds. Yeah. Because I never really paid attention. And again, no one said to me anything back then when I was 7 or 8. But really after because when you're a little child, I didn't wear any dresses or heels, anything like that. But it's really when you get 10-year-old or after, you're supposed to behave like you look like, basically. So, which I wasn't. So this is really when at that time I was really facing the fact that I had a different manner, a different behavior than everyone else. Yeah.
Right. So, when you look at on the web, there's many different theories about, being born a certain way and feeling a different way. But I want to hear from you as a person who went through this. Can you explain to to me, to us who don't know what it feels like to have that, feeling within yourself where you feel different, even though you know you're different, different gender, but you feel feminine. Can you, to the best of your ability, can you explain that to those who don't know how that feels like or how that looks like?
I remember I was doing a lot of feminine hobbies, like doing crochet and all of that. I was
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10. I liked it. I mean, it was everybody was happy with it. I was doing crochet for the teachers, and everybody was happy to receive their gifts. Again, it's not really a feeling. We don't realize that at that age, and we don't realize that when you're 5, you don't know that you're different because you're still a child. Also,
Right.
although people might say something when you're a child, but then again, it's a very young age for you to realize that you're a boy, you're a girl, or it's a mystery at that time.
Right.
Until you get really after, I would say after 8. I don't think, you see, it's hard to say you were born feminine or you were born. There are people who were born feminine, but again, to be born gay or to be born bisexual, I would say, because people say now that they were born this way.
Yeah.
But I think the born this way is coming really from Lady Gaga, who everybody knows in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because she created a song called Born
I
This
see.
Way.
Wow.
So because of that song, it makes everyone believe that I were born this way, because she says this a lot in the song.
I see.
And since that, everybody thinks that, yes, I was born this way or born this way. For me, I don't really know what would have happened if I didn't get that molested part when I was 8-year-old.
Right.
So I cannot tell if I would have been different or not. But then again, I know that, and I remember, by the way, I was holding the microphone to sing, and I was 12. The way I was holding the microphone was very different to a masculine guy.
Right.
Even when I went to France, I remember in France I was like 18, 19, and some people from church they were laughing at me because the way I was, the singing to the voice, the way I was singing, because I was really going to high pitched notes.
I see.
And people would say, you sing like a woman, you sing like a girl, and so it's just not just the walk, but also the way of singing, the choice of the song, everything has to be high.
Wow.
And so
You want to go high.
and so yes, it does. I remember it did show me that I was different. Now we're too young to know how far and how deep is the difference. How large and how deep and how serious it is. We don't know because it's too young, but we do realize that there's something different according to everyone else. Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, let's go back to the molestation, because it seems to be a very big incident that happened in your life. And you can share, if you're comfortable, to share with us. How did that happen? In what context did that happen?
My father was a fisherman, so he was going to the sea to get fishes for the family. And that was the work, because my mother stopped working to take care of us.
Okay.
And so my mother was cleaning the fishes, and I was the one to distribute in the city. And so by bringing the fishes to the neighborhood, this is how I actually went to this, the sister of the church. And as she was away with the family, her son was there. And this is how actually offered me to touch him and to use my mouth and everything else. So of course, it's very gentle and nothing was hard and nothing was aggressive. But by doing this more than once, it becomes a habit, because
That's right.
I do have to go back to bring the fishes every time. And so every time I go to bring the fishes, then that happens.
Wow.
And then the habit comes and stays there. And then, we keep on practicing with the same person for a while.
Oh.
And by being, you see, there's another thing it's probably psychologically,
Yeah.
I would say that when you actually go into intercourses, it does make you more feminine.
It does.
And so I remember when I went back to Guadeloupe, and I was walking down the street, and the ones that were interested in those kind of things, they would know that I would kind of be interested, so they would invite me to their home. So it is something that it's changing a life, basically, a lifestyle.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing. That's really enlightening to some of us to know these things. Now, during this whole process, how do you feel? Okay, let me ask it in a positive way, because I don't want to be negative. How did the church support you through this journey? Speaking back in Martinique, how did the church support you there?
You see, back in the days, not like now. I mean, now I find it maybe a little more accepted now, because we're in 2023. But back then, we're talking about 1970 something.
Wow. Before I was conceived.
You were not. It's not quite accepted. As a matter of fact, it's not accepted at all. And so I wouldn't speak it. I wouldn't say anything. So nobody would know what have happened. Although they see the behavior of the person going to sing is, feminine, but that's it. They don't know anything. So they wouldn't go and ask what's going on. Why do you walk like that, or anything like that? And so, of course, the family doesn't ask any question, because everything seems to be fine.
So they don't really know.
Nobody knows.
Wow.
And so until actually one of the sister at church, she contacted me and said, "I need your help." I think that this was directed by God, because I never told her what happened to me. But then she comes to me and said, "I need your help." And I said, "What kind of help?" And she says, "My son is being molested by somebody."
Wow.
And he's because I was friend with her son and her two daughters, very, very close friends. And so they couldn't speak. So they can't speak and they cannot hear. So they make signs. And then with the signs, he doesn't do any signs anymore. He's blocked, basically. So he doesn't do anything. There's no communication. And so when she told me that basically she was able to find a way to know that he was molested by someone, I discovered that that person he was molested by did the same with me. So it was the
same person.
Yeah.
Wow. So was this person like a secular person, or were they a church person?
He was a church person.
So same church?
Same church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. A moment of reflection right there. And I want you to speak to that as well. The reality of molestation in the church. How do you feel about that right now? Do you think we still have molestation in the church, or it's...
I wouldn't be surprised if we do, because I've been there, right? So I know that it can happen. It is something that is done underground, so nobody knows.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks that it exists, because nobody knows about it and nobody speaks about it. And unless they discover, like, testimony like I'm doing right now. But I do believe that there are still some occasion that, it can happen. If it happened to me back then, and Ronald was his name, then I believe that it does happen somehow, somewhere in the world, for sure.
Yeah. So the church is not immune, so to speak, from that.
At all.
Wow.
I find it's even easier.
Wow. Why do you say that?
Because, that friendship thing that we have at church, the fact that, very close friends, very close family.
Yeah.
The children, they're very close. And, usually the parents, they talk amongst parents. They don't really watch kids, what kids are doing.
Right.
So it's very, very easy for the kids to do those things.
Knowing what you know now, what would you say to parents who have kids?
You see, again, it is something that you cannot control 100%.
Okay.
It's never too, we never have too many eyes and too many, we're never too careful about what our children are, our child is doing.
Right.
With right now I live with a family, and I see the mother is very, very careful about
Yeah.
what her son is doing, when he's doing, what he's doing. And even though he's not around, she always asking him, asking his name, calling his name all the time to make sure that,
Wow.
he's on the right track. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way to always make sure and be aware of what the child is doing when he's not around.
Wow. Yeah, I really think that's important. Now, back to your story. So at some point, your family discovered that you're actually different, and perhaps they saw your lifestyle. How did they react to it?
Yes, this happened when I arrived in France, because my mother, she was passed away, and so was my father.
Okay.
So at the age of 20, I started to go to clubs. This is how I discovered the clubs in France, in Paris. And back then, people were smoking on the clubs.
Yeah.
It's not like now where it's not smoking everywhere, but back then it was smoking everywhere, even on aircrafts, on planes, everywhere was
Really?
smoking, everywhere. But then she knows that I'm going to church on the morning, and then I do activities in the afternoon. But she would see that at night I disappear. So she wouldn't see anything. But then I go back home at 7 a.m. in the morning with the smell of cigarettes. So she would ask me, do you smoke? And I'm like, no, I don't smoke. I don't smoke. But she said, well, you smell cigarette. Where did you go? I said, oh, I just went, with friends. And
okay.
And then by saying that, every time she discovered that I was going to clubs every night, every weekends, basically. And you see, they never, that's the part that is very interesting, because they never really reacted negatively, saying, why are you going to the clubs for? It's not good for us, and God doesn't like this and that. You were born Adventist, so in the family, not a word.
Now you say they, is it just your sister, or we have more people?
Sisters and brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that. How many
We're
brothers?
9 of us.
So 9 including you?
Including, myself. And I'm the last one.
And they were all going to church, same church with you?
Everybody's going to church, but not the same, because a lot of them, they're much older than I am. So like I was born, some of them, they were already gone. So it's not the same church. But in France, the sister that I was living with, we were going to the same church,
Okay, got it.
So by going to the same church, then of course she would know, we would know the same person.
Yeah.
And so,
And also to clarify, your other brothers, they're in France as well at that time?
France and the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, so they reacted positively. No negative.
Yes, honestly, I think this is a blessing as well, to have a family so supportive, I would say, because until now, I've never received any, why did you do that? Why are you doing this and that? Or you should have done that, or anything like that. It's really a blessing. I guess it's again, like I said, it's a blessing.
It is.
And so they were praying, they kept praying, and they started to pray a little more by seeing that. But I've never received any negative actions towards it.
Okay, so then let's contrast that with the church in Paris, or you could also include Martinique as well. How was their reaction once they knew a bit about you and who you are and what you do? How did they react?
So when I started to go clubs and started to work in clubs as well, I stopped going to church.
Oh, okay.
So I never knew what people from church were thinking, because I didn't stop seeing. I stopped seeing everybody. But then my sister was telling me that they kept asking, of course, for me, and for years and years. And this is why she asked to remove my name from the books.
She asked?
Yeah. Because
she asked you to...
Well, she asked me if I want to.
Okay. So that they can stop asking for you.
Yeah, she asked me, do you want to remove your name because you're not going to church now after 10, 15 years, you're not going. So unless you want to come back. And I said, no, I'm not coming back.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that the church is actually kind of supportive in some sense. I understand there was some discrimination in Martinique where they say you're too feminine, etc. But the church in France seems to be like very pursuing of you.
I'm not really sure exactly what happened in France because
Okay.
I didn't frequent anyone
Oh, okay.
there. So it's really my sister who was saying that they were asking for me. Now I don't know if they were asking for me to just to know if I'm
Right.
well, or they wanted to know more. You know, I'm not. We didn't discuss about that part, so I'm not sure exactly what was the reason behind
Okay.
the fact that they were looking to know what am I doing, or if I was well, or where is Jean-Michel, because we don't see him anymore. So I don't know.
Makes sense. So how about this? Did you feel accepted in the church overall?
I would say that that's the thing that I want. I didn't want I didn't want to carry on in France because actually I felt not accepted in the church.
Can you tell us more about that?
Because you see the when I was little, when I was feeling going through in the church in the Caribbean, in the French Caribbean, it was really the not well, I would say a rejection, but mostly not. There was no help. There was no acceptance, should I say, or maybe I guess again there was no communication. But even though they were seeing me walking like a girl, they would, and they tried that in France too. I remember when I first got in France, they would try to say it out loud instead of asking, "Are you okay?" or try to find a way to discuss with me about something, or whatever.
Right.
But they were pointing the fact that, oh, you do this, you walk like a girl, you talk like a girl, you sing like a girl. And then people were laughing and laughing, and yeah. So I didn't feel the support at all from church, neither in the Caribbean, neither in France, in Paris. And so this is also one of the reasons why I left. Yeah.
That makes sense. So in you leaving, you thought, you were going to find acceptance elsewhere. So
that's right. So by leaving, I found that maybe it's not the right place for me because I'm not accepted there by being a girl, like they said, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna go and find somewhere if they see me the way I am. I mean, nobody's gonna see like I do this and that like a girl. And then I didn't really look for a place for that, but I guess it became as I was looking around and visiting. I remember how it started in France, in Paris. I saw this bar and I arrived in the front. For some reason, I saw a door. It was a glass door. So I opened the door just to look, and I saw it was only men. I was like, oh, there's only men here.
So you don't belong there as well.
No, but I kind of got curious. I was 19. So I entered, and the welcome that I got by entering, I was like, whoa, I've never got such a warm welcome.
What?
Seriously. So I said, okay, well, I guess this is the place to be.
Wow. What a rebuke, right? What a rebuke. It feels like bars are more welcoming than churches are.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, it was very, very much welcoming. And it was like, oh, we've never seen you before. How are you? Where are you coming from? What's your name? And everything. It was like, very, very welcoming. And of course, because the welcome was so warm, you would tend to go back, right? Because you feel comfortable there. Nobody's pointing you being different. So then you go back and you make friendships, basically. So this is how it all started, making friends in the bars. And then you change your life according to the lives of the friends, the new friends.
To adapt to what they do.
That's right. Because they would say, oh, here is the evangelist coming. Because I was always going to bars with the way I go to church, right? Because I don't know how to dress. So I would go with my tie and, the same way I go to church.
So they call you evangelist.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, that's interesting.
And so, but I was looking. Then I realized everybody was wearing t-shirt and jeans. I was like, oh, maybe I should change my clothes.
Yeah.
And this is how I changed my clothes according to the way they were dressing, and then the way they actually went to clubs and everywhere else. So I would follow them and discover the new lifestyle, basically. So it's really about people with that we spend time with. Yeah,
That's right. Wow. I'm still thinking about bars being open 24 hours and churches being closed.
right. That's true.
But so my question now is the new lifestyle. Of course, you feel accepted, but for how long did you feel accepted, and was it comfortable for you? What sorts of things were you doing, if you're comfortable sharing?
Sure. There's so much to discover of course, right, in this world.
Yeah.
But then meeting the new people, wanting to know who they are and what they've been through, and what they're doing there. And it took a while, although it went fast. But at the same time, they were showing me shows like drag shows and transgenders and so on. So I was discovering the lifestyle at night, which is very different to the day. And so, men dressing up like girls to try to look alike, like stars, like Madonna and Whitney Houston and Lady Gaga, for example. So I was discovering those shows and looking at those shows and meeting new people, and starting really a lifestyle as a gay person, because I was also starting to connect sexually with new people. And so so it was a lifestyle for about 2 years. And then I started to study the singing at the same time, singing opera in France. And so I moved to England afterwards, because I couldn't find work in the singing in France. So I moved to England.
Okay.
And the gay lifestyle carries on, and meeting new people again, go straight to clubs and friends, then start finding works in the singing and the dancing. Then I start to do dancing, ballet and jazz and so on. And then do everything that we don't do at church, basically.
Wow. So you found your new church.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a night. It was every night. In England, it was every night.
Every
nights.
night. So every day.
Yeah. So I was going out at 10 p.m. and go back home about 9 a.m. at 8 to 9 a.m. So sleeping the whole day and go at night. That was a day. That was a lifestyle.
Did you like the lifestyle at that time?
I liked it because, when you feel accepted, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
By the time, but because I was seeing people accepting who I was and offering to help to promote because I wanted to sing more, and the people got to help to produce the songs, to help me singing, and I was offered to dance and get into the musicals, do fame, do all kinds of musical that we know in the world. So yeah, I felt comfortable to do that because I was accepted. Nobody was pointing me like I am different.
Wow. What a story.
Until I got to the point that I was offered to change my body.
Tell us about that. What happened?
I was working in this club in England, London, England, and the boss comes to me and said to me, "I have to discuss something with you." I said, "Okay." So we went to sit down, and he says to me, "Okay, you have to go through a sex change if you want to carry on working." So I said, "Why?" He said, "Because everybody's doing it. It's only you. Everybody's done it. Some are going to. They started the process, and you're the only one left." So I said, "I'm sorry, but I don't feel it."
Interesting.
He said, "Take your time, think about it." Then I started to go through depression.
Wow.
Because even though I was having sex with men and do drag shows and so on, I was really into that lifestyle, like 100%. Something in me was telling me, you don't want to go to a sex change. Because even though I put socks, to make boobs and put the socks there and so on, but it was still a game.
It wasn't as real.
Right. And so now, no more socks now.
It has to be real.
So I said, no. It's something in me was telling me, no, you can't go to a hospital and do sex change. So
what were you afraid of?
again, it was still for me, back then it was a game. It was not, although it was a lifestyle, but I could do a modification if I wanted to. For instance, during the day, I could remove the socks if I want to go to look like a man. If I want to look like a woman, then I put makeup on, wigs, and I put the socks. But then if I do the change, I'll be looking like that 24/7. So I'm thinking, I'm not there yet. I didn't see that happen, and I'm not there yet. So I kind of stopped, and I said, I have to think about it. But I think I was hearing the God's voice who was telling me that. Back then, I didn't know it was God's voice, but now I know.
Now looking back,
Yeah, now I know it was his voice telling me, you are not doing it.
Right. So I have another follow-up question. So during this new lifestyle, on average, how many times did you feel feminine versus how many times did you feel masculine? Or was it just all feminine throughout?
You see, some of my friends were telling me that they feel like they were born in the wrong body.
Okay.
For those, then they do have to go through sex change because they're in the wrong body. They have to be feminine all the time, 24/7. So they have to do the sex change.
Okay.
For me, it was different because being a woman for me was making a living. It was to pay the rent, pay the bills. So it wasn't really a lifestyle.
Okay.
I never felt like I was born in the wrong body.
Okay.
I knew I was a man and I liked that part. But on the other side, I like to make people laugh.
Okay.
So it was really a show thing.
I see.
To make money and pay bills, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
wow.
That's why I didn't want to go to do the whole thing because I don't see the show anymore. Like I see it's a way of living 24/7, and I wasn't ready for that because I didn't feel that back then.
Yeah. And then if you're to continue this life, this will be your career for life. And I'm sure you're making good money, right?
Oh, yes, I was making good money. But the part that stopped me was the change. And then I realized that really everybody was going through sex change. And I was like, okay. I guess I have to find something else to do because I'm not fitting in this anymore. Even though they let me carry on a little bit because, I was quite good in what I was doing. But then again, I felt within me like I don't belong to this ambience, this area anymore because people really think they're real women. And although I try to, but they can tell that I'm not because, they see me during the day as well, walking like a man, or they see me removing the makeup after the show. I walk to the crowd so they see me, like a man. Rather, those people, they don't remove anything.
They're just like that.
So I said, okay, I don't know. Then I don't know what to do anymore at this point. I said, whatever happens.
Wow.
And this is really at that time that God takes the control because you see, when you're like, I don't know what to do. I let go.
Yeah.
And then you just let go, but you don't give up living. It's just that you're there and you wait. And then God comes and help. And that's the help that I got to move to Canada.
Tell us about that, because this is where our story is really climaxing. This is like the moment of transition, right? How did you transition from this full-on everyday homosexual lifestyle to now following Jesus and being his disciple and wanting to keep his commandments? What happened in between that?
You see, back then, now when I look back, I said God put in me. Back then, I wouldn't say God because I didn't, I had no connection with God. No prayers, nothing at all. So there was no connection. But I can say that God put in me the need to sing again. Because I stopped singing because I was doing drag shows. The singing was gone. And so I remember that last show that I was doing as Tina Turner, and someone came and said to me, "Oh, you're very good at what you do and everything." I was devastated. I was like, no, don't tell me I'm good. He said, why not? I said, I dislike, I hate what I'm doing.
Wow.
And he said, why do you hate it? Because you're good. Look, everybody's. I said, yes, but everybody looks like a woman. I'm the only one who doesn't. I mean, it's not fun anymore because I'm different now.
Now you don't feel accepted. Okay.
Right. I don't feel accepted anymore because everybody's different.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one, or I'm different. Something is going on because everybody looks like a woman and then I'm not. I said, I don't like it. And he said, but what do you want to do? I said, I guess I have to go back to singing, I guess. And he said, you can sing. I said, yeah, I mean, if I try to work, I guess I can find it because I studied singing. And he said, oh, what do you sing? I said, I sing opera. And he said, really? I said, yeah. Then he said, oh, I have a friend in Canada who's looking for an opera singer. And I said, where is Canada?
Wow.
And he says, oh, okay, well, we're going to go to Google and look for Canada. And then I said, oh, there are people that live there.
Was it your first time here in Canada? Or
it was, yeah.
For real? So we're not that famous. That's interesting.
I said, oh, there are people that live there in Canada because I heard it's so cold. And he said, yeah, there are people that live there. So I said, what's the city? He said, it's Montreal. I said, okay, I don't know where that is, but I mean, I have to audition, so I'll go. So he called his friend right away. On the spot, I went to the church. I mean, there was church at the club.
Your church, right?
Yeah, back then, old church. And so he called a friend and said to me, look, I found somebody who can sing an opera and so on. And then the next thing you know, 3 days later, I'm on the airplane going to Montreal. So they paid the ticket for me. They paid the ticket for me and I go into Montreal to audition. He says to me, if they like you, they keep you. I flew to Montreal and I stayed.
Wow.
So this is how I entered in Canada to sing opera every night.
Wow. Welcome to Canada. So what were you singing about?
It's opera. So it's really Handel and, all kinds of... it was Baroque basically because I studied to sing as a countertenor, which is the falsetto for men, and so it was every night, 7 nights a week. So I had no time to visit anywhere in Montreal, and so I was there for three years. Yes. But in the process of 3 years, I was looking with the boss to
go back,
not to go back, but to be legal. Because
what do you mean by that?
Because I didn't have any. I came from France, so I'm not Canadian yet, right?
Okay.
So I had to ask him, can you actually make the paper, arrange something with immigration so I can actually have a paper to work because I came as a visitor. I didn't come as a worker. So he said, okay. And then after the 3 years, he says to me, okay, well, we have to close the place because it's not working anymore. You have to go back to England. I said, no.
I don't want to go back to the past.
I'm not going back to England, going to places where people have body changes and so on. I am not going back. I didn't say God, but I said, another part when I'm going to start depressing again. I said, what am I going to do now? Because I don't even know where to go in the city because I've never visited. He says, well, I can't keep you here. You have to leave. So I said, okay. So I left. And at that time, I had a CD because I was singing full time. So I made a CD. I went the whole town, distribute CD, and asked him, can you hire me to sing? Can you hire me to sing?
Is it your CD?
It was my CD.
By the way, can we find these CDs right now? Oh.
They're not on the internet.
Oh, okay.
No, because I made them and then I distribute them. So.
Do you have any
copies?
Copies?
Yes, I have copies.
Yeah, we need those copies when I listen to your talent.
Yeah, I have copies.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. But it's very different to what I do now because it's opera and again, like I said, it's falsetto, so it's very high.
Yeah, I wonder how you guys do that because you still can do that, right?
I still can do it. Yeah.
Can you give us a sample so people can believe you? Just one sentence.
Oh, mi about me, no
Wow. That's real. So
Yeah.
so I believe God has gifted you with the gift of music. And
Yeah.
you tell us more about your music journey as well. But yeah, let's continue our story. So you are in Canada and you say you don't want to go back to England because they do sex change. I think at that time Canada was also doing that, right? Like was it legal in Canada to
Not as much as now, but
Oh, okay. It was just
it
starting, I
started to,
suppose.
yeah, it was a start. Yeah.
And did you meet any friends here in Canada who identified as homosexual?
That became afterwards because I
Okay.
was now out of job. So
Okay. So you're busy with opera.
yeah, so I have no more opera because
Okay. After 3 years. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guy says to me, "You have to leave. You have to go
Okay.
back to England." So I'm like, "Okay, what am I going to do?" So I looked around the city, distribute the CDs to
Yeah.
get some and feedback and some work. Finally, I found a restaurant who hired me to sing there and
Okay.
to do the drags. Drag
Mm.
show that I didn't like to do. So I started to do drag again and the singing and dancing and so on at the club. Finally, I had more time to go to the gay village in Montreal. So I went to the gay village and I found more work as a drag queen. And I was there full time, 5 nights a week to do the shows there and the weekends to do the shows in the restaurant. So I was busy. Then I realized that was 2003. Then I realized 2010, I'm still illegal.
You don't have any papers.
So no papers in the country.
And you've lived there for how long?
I arrived in 2001. In 2010, I discovered I still have no papers.
How did you survive? How did you evade the government for
Nothing.
10 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Interesting.
But you see, God is in control.
Yeah.
I would say, no matter what the choices that we do.
Yeah.
And so he knows. That's the thing. God knows the end. He sees the end.
Right.
So no matter what the way that we get to the end, it really goes
Ends
to
after the
concentrate.
end.
Yeah, he's going to concentrate on the end. And so everything that I've been through was to get to where I am now. But yes, I had no papers because I realized myself at the hospital with a seizure. I had a seizure after a show because I was taking too many drugs and too many Red Bulls, which I was taking 6 per day, trying to stay awake at night because I couldn't deal with the change of hours from England to here. And then the new way of nightlife as well. Here was different to England.
Yeah.
So 6 Red Bulls per day plus all the drugs you can imagine. Because I was actually having new people that I spent time with, and they were taking drugs.
What drugs were these? So people know.
I would say ecstasy. Everybody knows about ecstasy. We have MDMA, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while.
Yeah.
They call it the drug where they can actually rape you. I forgot the name of this one.
Oh.
So it's I forgot the name of this one, but it's a drug. When you take it, you can't move, you can't think.
You just become unconscious.
That's right. So they can do whatever they want with you.
Wow.
Heroin and everything else.
Wow.
And so so I started to work there. Then after the seizure, I found myself in the hospital. Then they asked me for my medical card.
Yeah,
and I said, "What is that?"
What is that?
So they said, "Oh, if you don't know what this is, then you have to pay $5,000.
Okay.
So I said, "Okay, I don't have it, but I'll look for it." And so I found a friend, by God's grace, who offered me the $5,000, and I was able to pay the hospital and the ambulance who actually took me, but I never saw because I was doing my seizure. And so so finally I met I was actually going out already with somebody who actually offered to marry me to have the papers. And this is how I got the papers.
That was a trap, eh?
Yeah. So
were you comfortable with that?
I mean, back then I was comfortable because I was desperate. I was like, I'm in the
Yeah.
hospital and I need some help. So wherever the help is coming from, I'll take it. And so after the paper, I got a paper and the divorce was pronounced, the separation. And so I was back single. I mean, single for the world.
So after you got the citizenship,
Yeah.
you then did the divorce.
Yeah.
So could we say that you used this person to get the
No, because he was the one to offer it.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't ask. I mean, I was in the hospital. I didn't know what was going on. I was doing a seizure. So this thing I know, he was coming. He came actually says to me, well, I mean, we're together, so and you need help. So do you want to get married? I said,
Oh, okay, got it.
actually, if I don't know if that's the one. If we need to do that, well, let's do it. And
Okay, and he was. This is in Canada, right?
Montreal.
So, Montreal. That's where he was as well.
Yeah.
But he has background in Brazil.
No, he was from Canada. Yeah.
Oh, from Canada. Okay. So people are still waiting for the transition. So what happened?
So the transition happened in Brazil. So I left everything. I said, okay, no more drag, no more thing. I want to do fully samba, Brazilian samba. So I flew from Brazil, from Canada to Brazil, and stayed there for 5 years and did carnival. The last carnival.
What is carnival?
Carnival, it's a parade. It's a parade that we do. Well, they do every year. Okay. But it's a competition between the schools, the dance schools.
Oh, okay.
So the more extravaganza, the more original you are, then the school wins money from the government.
Okay, so it's a government-run thing.
That's right. Okay. So it's a big thing in the country, and everything is closed and nothing is working. It's just dancing industry.
Wow. Okay.
So I did that for 5 years, but on the last year, this is when God called. And suddenly, but literally suddenly, I see things totally different. Like I'm in the middle of dancing and looking at everyone. And during the looking, I see things totally different. For instance, we have every school has a flag, right? A big flag, and we have to turn the flag and dance around it, which I did every year. But this last year, God was showing me, you see the flag, look at it and look at the people dancing around it.
Okay.
And the image that came into my mind was the Israelite at the mountain while Moses was up there. Okay. They were dancing in front of the cow.
That's interesting. And nobody had preached to you about anything. This is
from my childhood.
Yeah, it's coming back, eh?
It's coming back.
Wow.
So I'm looking, I'm like, what? Dancing in front of a tissue? Because it's a flag. I mean, it's a material. Right. So am I worshiping a tissue? I'm like, no, can't do that.
Interesting, eh?
I said, no. So people was looking at me like, what's going on? I said, guys, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not feeling comfortable.
Right.
I said, how come? You want to go to a hospital? I said, no. I don't want to go to hospital. I just need to go, get out of here.
Wow. Just so sudden like that.
Like that.
Wow.
So they said, okay, go. So I left and I was like, what's going on? I mean, I've started to think many different things. I'm like, okay, I can't stay here because I feel like I'm worshiping a tissue. Then I'm seeing the Israelite with the cow while Moses, that image in the Bible, right? So I said, okay, no, I guess I have to take some time and, think about all of this. But then I'm still there because I'm preparation to do the parade, which is a few days coming up.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm still going to do the parade and we'll see later. But you see, I'm taking my feathers, doing the preparation, go to the theater, because it's in the street theater, open roof. And during the walk, I feel something inside of me telling me, this is your last.
Wow. Okay. Was it like words or just a feeling?
It wasn't words, it was a feeling.
Okay.
Although I could feel that it was the last, but again, I could hear something telling me, you are not coming back.
You are not
So
coming
I could
back.
hear a voice telling me, you're not coming back to the parade,
Okay.
to the carnival, basically. You're not coming back to the carnival. And I'm feeling like it is the last time while I'm dancing. So I'm like smiling, but I'm like,
not really.
you know,
kind of confused at this point.
So after about an hour, it took about an hour. So I'm ending to the end of the street, and of course people come and I take pictures, and I'm like, I just want to get out of this because I can feel that it's over.
Wow.
Like I remember I turned away, I looked around, and I said, yes, I feel like it is the last. I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen, but something tells me that I will see this place for the last time.
Wow.
Now I was going out with this guy, and then he come and said to me, are you okay? I said, I'm okay, but it's just like, I'm not. He said, you didn't like it? I said, no, I hated it.
Wow.
He said,
why the sudden change?
He said, since when? You're always here every year. You're the one to
you are the leader here.
Right? And then now you don't like it. He said, okay, look, we're going to go home. You're going to drink some water and relax and you'll feel fine. So I said, no, it's not about water. I don't know what it is, but it's not about water. And then I stopped there. And then nothing happened. About a week later or two, I flew back to Canada. And this is where God was waiting for me.
Okay, tell us. We've been waiting for this time.
I arrived in Canada. I was working for Air Canada back then. I met this colleague of mine in the airport. And we were talking, and she's like, oh, my mother's telling me all the time, and, she believes in Jesus and all of that. And she's telling me Jesus is coming back and everything. Just this phrase changed everything.
Jesus is coming back.
That's it. Just this phrase. I looked at her and I started to scream at the airport.
Wow.
Like there was no tomorrow.
Scream.
At first, because I had to. At first, I screamed, but I lost. I didn't know what was going on around me.
So you lost control?
I lost, not control, but
consciousness.
That's right. I didn't know what was going on around me because I guess the spirit took me there. At the same time, it lasted about a few seconds. At the same time, I was feeling that this moment that I was living was the last one on the planet.
So you felt like you were going to die?
That's it.
Wow.
So not just dying, but it was the end of the world.
Okay, so that's bigger than dying.
Yes.
It's like everything is going to end.
Like I felt like there was not a minute later on.
Wow.
It's over. It's finished. It's done.
And this was just a feeling you had?
It was a feeling, but at the same time, I could see with my eyes myself dropping in this tunnel.
Okay.
Now in this tunnel, it was all dark. And I could feel myself dropping, but there was nothing on the ground and nothing to grab on, nothing to hold on to. But when I tried to look up, I could see that light, and I could not reach the light. For some reason, I was trying to. Nothing could have happened, and I was losing also the breathing. The breathing, I couldn't breathe. It was coming less and less.
Less and less. Wow.
But you see, it's a feeling that's coming from inside. It's nothing coming from outside. It's really inside.
Yeah.
And I really thought that it was the end of the world.
Wow.
Like literally, I started to scream, I need God. That's all I said. But I was repeating that phrase, I need God, I need God, I need God.
And right now you're working at the airport. And
I was at the airport. And then the moment changed and I came back to myself. And I looked around and I'm like, what's going on?
Uh-oh.
And everybody's looking at me, and my friend's like, Jean-Michel, what's happening?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, but I think I need God.
I need God.
She says, oh, you can't stay here to work. You have to go home. I said, I don't know, but I guess I need God. She said, that's what you just said so many times. I said, did I? She said, yes, you said it so loud. Look, everybody's looking at it. I'm like, okay, so we have to go. And then in the process of going, the same thing came back.
Wow.
I literally thought that was the end. And for me, I would have never saw, I mean, not even just me, we would have never saw 2021st or 22nd or 23rd.
This was
2020.
This was during COVID.
Right. During COVID, exactly.
That year is full of surprises.
April 4.
Wow.
Yeah, April 4, 2020. So
are you probably wearing a mask at this point? No?
No, because actually I was going to try to run away from that because I didn't want any of those. So
it hadn't been imposed yet, I guess.
No, but back in Brazil, everybody was wearing masks already.
Oh, okay.
But here in Quebec, when I arrived, it was just not here, but I mean in Quebec.
Right.
It's just started, so it was something quite, you know. It wasn't like afterwards.
Okay.
But it was still the beginning, so it wasn't very important. But honestly, I really thought it was the end of the world. I said, I cannot die now. I have to be saved. I said, there's no way. I don't want to.
So you scream and cry, I need God, I need God.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the airport, it's not the best place to find God. So where did they take you?
Well, she took
me home.
Went home.
Okay.
She took me home, and then this is how I called my family, and they prayed with me on the phone.
Wow.
And only that prayer helped me because I was out of control. I was just screaming. I was desperate.
Who did you reach out to? Was it your sister or?
So I called my sister-in-law first, who prayed with me, but nothing worked. She passed me on to my brother. Nothing worked. I called my another sister in France. I left a message because she was asleep. And then by the screaming and the whole, desperation, I fall asleep. When I wake up, I listen to my message to see if my sister answered me. And then she had called while I was sleeping.
Okay.
Asking me to call her back because she was also worried about what happened, where I was screaming on the phone.
Right.
And then when I called her back, the first thing I said to her when she answered, I said, I need God. She says, what? I said, I need God now. She said, what happened? I said, I don't know. I just need God.
Okay.
And she's, okay, let's pray because it sounds serious.
Yeah.
And then she prayed. That prayer, that's the only prayer that calmed me down because...
Why is that though? Why do you think?
That's a prayer I've never heard from anyone, to be honest. I mean, I don't hear everybody's praying, but I'm just saying, I don't think that's the kind of prayer people know that is very helpful to others. Because in the prayer, she had mentioned, because she knows about my whole life.
Right.
So she had mentioned every little sin.
Wow.
Without forgetting any. Because she knows everything. She had mentioned every sin that I did. And then she also had mentioned that to God, remember, I told you, if you don't call my brother, I don't want to be saved.
Can you repeat that again? I missed that.
She mentioned the prayer. Remember when I was telling you, if you don't call back my brother to church or to you, I don't want to be saved. Don't take me to heaven.
This is what she told God.
Yes.
If you don't save my brother, you might as well leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Wow.
And so she said that. But really the part that touched me is because she was mentioning every
single sin.
I've never heard that, honestly.
So I guess that's the answer, right? It was a prayer of repentance, right? And turning back to God. Wow.
I was really, really surprised. I've never such a prayer. But again, that prayer felt so relief and so light and so full of hope, basically.
Right.
because I was hopeless. I was like, for me, it's the end. I mean, I was gonna die. For me, die forever. It was for me the second death.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that prayer was powerful. Especially honestly, I don't remember how many hours that prayer took.
Oh, it took hours? I thought it was like 5 minutes. No.
For everything.
Every scene. So every scene, like you spend 15 minutes.
No. We're talking about a lifestyle. I mean,
wow. So from the time you were, she knows
she saw
you.
me when I grew up. I was born. She saw me.
Wow.
So she went all the way back there. She knows about the fact that I met this guy was 8. She knows all of this because
oh wow, even that.
She knows everything.
So that's the power right there. Wow. Now I promised I wasn't gonna add to your testimony, but I'm gonna break that covenant right now. So there's a verse in Isaiah 59, I believe, verse 1 and 2. It says, God is saying, it's not that my ear is dull that I cannot hear, or my hand too short that I can to save, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he says, it is your iniquities that have separated between you and me. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the answer right there. That's so it was a prayer of reconnecting back to God, acknowledging and saying, actually, Lord, I'm sorry I had gone away, or whatever had happened. But now I just want to be back with you.
That's right.
And God never says no to such prayers.
Never.
He always answers a prayer of repentance.
Yes, he does.
Wow. Powerful stuff. So let's talk about what happens after that. So after you pray with your sister, how do you feel after few more days after that? Does your life change completely, or
it's a mess because I don't know where to start. There's so much cleanup to do. So I started to cry like there was no tomorrow, and I spoke to God. I said, God, you calling me for what? I mean, what am I gonna do? Where do I start? Because my clothes, they're different.
Right.
The clothes during the day, I'm not talking about the night. Right. The day they're different. The way I eat is different. The way I live is different. For me, even the sun and the rain was a worship. It was a worship towards them, because I've gone this far. Is that it was so good to have sex under the sun or under the rain. This is how bad it was. So I was like, where do I start? Because plus, I was still in a relationship back then. But then you see, God showed me, okay, we're going to start little by little. So I started to clean up the place where I was living, to start to sell and let go and, throw to the garbage, give away all the stuff that I wasn't using. And so all the feathers had to go. We started little by little. So, and then I took Bible classes with the pastor from the church close to me. I realized there was a church 5 minutes from me, but I never knew.
5 minutes.
5 minutes away.
God was 5 minutes away.
Right. And so I started to go to church there. And then, it was closed during COVID. So I was desperate to have that open, but we went on Zoom. So I started Zoom Bible classes and Zoom Sabbath school, Zoom sermon. Everything was on Zoom. And so I learned how to connect with God constantly, how to listen to his voice, how to speak to God, how to speak with him, and how to live, because it was a new life, basically, to live a new life and to separate from the old life that was really hard, because those people that I've met for 20 years, I had to separate with them, and they don't understand what's going on. And I had to explain to everyone. People wanted to meet me to realize if I was really okay, or if I was, sick or mad or crazy, because all of a sudden you're talking about God. Who are you? Right.
Who is God?
I mean, we know God, but who are you? Since when do you speak about God?
Right.
We know you're speaking about samba, dance, or drag queens or other stuff, but God, since when? So, I had to meet people. So it took a long time to to do that. But then I got baptized again the year after. And
So that's 2021.
That's right.
Okay. Oh.
And so I had to quit Air Canada because I didn't really like the offer they were giving me to carry on. So then I said, God, if you want me to, obviously God wanted me to leave Air Canada.
Okay.
And everything I did ask him for everything I decided, because I didn't want to do again things with my own decision.
Wow. So you submitted to God's decision.
I said, God, you tell me what I need to do now, because you call me, you tell me, and I'm waiting.
Wow, that's really good. I wish most of us could have that mindset. To say, God,
you call me, you lead me.
You lead me.
I'm not doing anything. I'm waiting for you.
That's really good. That's amazing. So right now, looking back, how has your views on sexuality changed?
You see, it's really a package. It's not just the sexuality. It's also the lifestyle.
It's everything that changes.
Everything. I used to eat pork and everything else. Serpent, you name it. Crocodile.
Serpent? What?
There's nothing. I tried everything. But you see, I had to separate from those.
Yeah.
Also, the clothing I was wearing was very, very revealing what I was wearing. So I had to separate from that as well. The way I was speaking was different as well. The speak.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that the words I was using was different, because in the word everybody called themselves darling. So when you speak to somebody, hi darling, everybody's darling. So I can't call the pastor darling or brother darling. Everybody was darling. So I was like, okay, no, I had to clean up for that too. So I said, God, you need to help me.
Maybe only God is darling.
Right?
Because he's your best friend, right?
That's right.
Okay.
No, but I said, God, you call me, you clean up for me, because, I can't do this by myself. So he did for that. It was rough. It was hard, because, I even got people telling me, why are you calling me darling? Oh, I got this brother from church telling me, you calling my wife darling? I said, oh, did I?
Sorry. Oops.
So I had said to God, I'm in trouble now.
Yeah.
Please help me, because I don't want to call people everybody's darling. I don't even know what I'm saying, because it's natural, and so without thinking it. So I said, God, help me. And so he did that.
He did.
And then the sexual part was because, you see, Montreal is a very sexual city.
Okay.
A party city. So parties everywhere, sex is everywhere. It's very, especially where I was living, close to downtown, it's very accessible. So I said, I have to leave the city. This phrase came into my mind right away, leave the city. So I said, to go where? Because I don't know anywhere else, but the city is. So God showed to me, okay, you need to leave Montreal, but I want you to leave the province.
And did he say, come to BC?
No, I was going to go to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
But then, by the thing I was trying, you see, working with God is really amazing. It's amazing.
It is, yeah.
I said, God, I'm going to Nova Scotia, but I know you're a God of order. So thing has to be simple with you.
Okay.
Not complicated. If it's too complicated, it's because you don't want to.
Interesting.
So I asked God, I need your help, and I need 3 answers.
Okay.
I mean, 1 answer in 3 different forms.
Okay.
If it has to be a dream. A word a word from the Bible, and you show me through the providence. I'm trying to translate in French.
Yeah, that makes sense. Providence.
Through providence. So the providence show the Bible and a dream. It has to be the same answer for those 3. If it's different, it's not from you, because you're a God of order.
Wow, you just came to God, and you're very strict with God already.
Yeah, because I was kind of upset as well, because I was like, the call was so sudden, and so shocking.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, there's so much to do.
It's overwhelming,
but there was so much to do. I'm like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do, because I've done this for 40 years, right, almost.
Wow.
So I'm like, what am I going to do now?
It's like your entire life you've been doing this.
So I was like, God, you call me, you do it, because me. Mm-mm.
So what was the answer then?
And so when I tried Nova Scotia, I saw that I was blocked, because going there through apartment, the friend was telling me, if you come, I have to find the key for you. You have to go to the location to get the key, because of the mask. You can't go. Because I'm like, oh, that sounds complicated. That's not from God. God is not complicated.
Right.
So forget it. So I said, okay, next province, I'm going to look to see. I said, oh, BC.
BC exists.
I said, oh, let me see BC. If it's blocked, then I'm going to change to go to Alberta or something. Then the same week, I auditioned for a job, and I was going to receive an apartment. So I said, oh.
Wow. Same week.
It's BC then.
Wow.
Because it's simple. So I said, okay. I started to do to prepare bags and so on, and this is how I flew to BC. Yeah.
Welcome to BC.
I kind of put everything in one package to make it simple, to not too long to explain.
Now you say simple, but some people don't agree.
Of course they don't.
BC stands for bring cash, right? Have you experienced that it's a little expensive here than Montreal, or is it the same?
Honestly, I do believe that there is no limit for God. God is a God of non-limitation.
That's right.
Nothing is impossible for him. And yes, people did tell me, you live in Montreal, you go into a place where everything's expensive, you're not going to make it. You see, you'll be back, you regret it. I said, it's not my choice. I don't want to go to BC.
God is leading me to BC.
I mean, I asked him and he's showing me, so he's going to he's going to do the rest. And you see, I've been to BC, and I actually did the interview back in Montreal to the job, which I am still there. Yes, I don't have my Friday anymore because I work Friday.
Right.
But honestly, I mean, God's been good. I guess I believe now he wants me to move forward. So this is what I'm.
Are you leaving?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Okay. I hope you're not. But we'll see.
I've been traveling. I've been traveling.
I know.
Right?
So we'll see what God says, right?
God is leading.
So I have a question for you. So there are people, your old friends, let's say, or someone watching this and saying, you know what, Jean-Michel, I don't believe you. I think it's not real, the transition. It's just fake. How do you respond to that?
Yes, I have friends that's telling me, what you saying? You're not gay anymore. I thought we were born this way.
Right.
What are you talking about? I said, you see, that's the thing I thought too. I believe myself. I believed I was born this way. But you see, when you allow yourself to meet other people and to experience other things, then you can kind of see different aspects and then start to realize,
there's something outside of the box.
That's right.
Okay.
Rather, if you're there in the same vision and you don't open up, it's going to be the same thing over and over.
Right.
But then when you start to open up and allow yourself to see, okay, maybe, and then you start working in that path, realize, okay, I was not born this way. But you have to allow yourself. It's about being really truthful, to let go of yourself, to allow to see new things, experience new things, to meet new people,
right? And
to also your vision to open with prayers as well.
With prayer,
yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So yeah,
you
go
see,
ahead.
I would never believe that I would. I was watching pornography all day long. I had a path in England. I was just doing that basically. all day, all night. For days and days and days, I was watching pornography. I was like, I was happy. I thought I was.
Were you though?
I thought I was. But you see, when I discovered that what pornography does to the brain, how damaged it gets the brain gets damaged by watching those things. What it does to your body, the brain, the body itself, and also the personality.
What does it do? How does it damage your brain?
I guess that's another show.
That's another episode. Yeah.
it does damage the front of the brain, because in our brain we have different parts. And by watching something, your brain captures. It's like a photography.
Wow.
And then every time you basically expose yourself to that image remains there. And at one point, your brain reminds you
brings it up again.
Brings it up. So
Wow.
it makes you think those images over and over, which makes you go back to them.
Wow. It's like a loop.
That's right.
So you trapping yourself.
So that's why you always go back to the pornography, because the image is already there, and the brain is so intelligent, it's so well created by God. So those images stays there, and then they go back to the front.
Wow.
Automatically, yeah.
Wow.
So it creates you the need to go, because you it's there. Yeah. And that's why when we ask God, we pray, God, okay, God, you know me, you created me from top to bottom. You know me more than I know myself. And you know that I like those things, but you dislike them.
Yeah.
So creating me the hate that you have for those things.
Wow. I was going to also say, creating me a clean heart.
Exactly.
Because we need to be cleaned, right?
Exactly.
And then also, I believe it's Romans 12 says, be not conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind.
Amen.
So you need to renew the subconscious mind, right?
That's right.
Because it has so many memories
that
are not so good.
Create new images. So when you read the Bible, you have new images as well.
I love that analogy. New images from God.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this testimony, as you can see, this testimony is your journey. It hasn't ended yet.
No.
It's a journey you're on. And if we continue, we won't end. So, but let's bring this to a close. Tell us, what are your challenges currently that you are facing on your journey?
I would say that, you see, it is a growing process. It's not one level. There's no one level on the journey and on the process. It goes up. It goes up or it goes down.
Can it go up and down?
I don't want it to go up and down.
Okay.
I try with the grace of God to go
up.
Now, when we go up, it can go up or up. But up and down, I would say up and down was really the 2021 until middle 2022, because everything is still new, progress, and discovering.
Yeah, discovering
as well. There are ups and downs, but the downs are less than before.
Okay.
Because we want to go up.
So it's like up and down, but the up and down is up.
That's right.
Okay, that's good.
Now, if you, like one of the pastor was saying, if you keep praying for the same sin for 10 years, there's a problem.
Uh-oh. Can you repeat that?
If you keep praying for the same sin for 10 years, there's a problem.
And what's the problem?
There's a problem between you and God, because we know God answers.
And we know he's powerful to answer.
Right. Wow. So there is something that we have to visualize and speak with God, because probation is close. I mean, it's not closed, but it's close. It's coming up. I mean,
it's close and closing.
Right. It's about to.
It's about to. Yeah.
So we know that after probation, we will not be able to receive forgiveness.
What is probation for those who don't know?
Probation is, when you go to, for instance, I used to work at Air Canada.
I love where you're going.
You have 6-month probation, which means that during that 6-month probation, whatever you do, for instance, if you're late or whatever, so they're supposed to say, okay, you're late, you go home because of probation. But you can explain, you can ask for forgiveness. Sorry, it's not my fault. It's not. After that period,
it's different.
It's different. So after that period, there is no more mistakes. So even if you do a mistake, why doing that mistake? You know the job now.
You know now.
So now there's a sentence more, it's more strict, it's more
firm.
Yeah, it's more firm. You're not supposed to do that anymore. It's over.
Wow.
So that's probation. Now, according to God, Of course, we have Jesus. Everybody knows that Jesus is pleading for us in heaven.
Mhm.
But he's not going to plead forever. I mean, forever and ever and ever. There is no end. There is an end, and that end is coming up. So, because we don't know when,
We have to be ready.
we have to be ready indeed. And we have to realize that during the period of, within the period of the return of Jesus and that probation, Jesus has to prepare himself to come down. He's not going to come down as a pleader.
He's going to come as a judge.
He's going to come as a judge, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. So that preparation has to be, is going to be before his appearance. Now, in that period, we might think that we forgot something, that a sin or something we forgot to ask, but then that's why he says, "Let the sin be sins, let the not sin not remain not sins." I forgot exactly the words, but you know what I mean.
Let the just remain just,
That's
and
right.
let the unjust remain unjust.
That's right. Which means that there is no more forgiveness. And so, before we get to that point, we have to make sure that everything is clean up. Of course, we never know because we're sinners. And this is why we always have to stay in constant relationship with Jesus.
Always.
All the time, nonstop. When you go to the shower, you go to do your number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Even that, I thought you can do that alone.
No. All the time, nonstop. Because when you go to the toilet, Jesus is there with you.
Interesting. I never thought of that before like that.
Yeah.
But he's everywhere, so.
Right? So tell him, forgive me for this and that. And, there's so many things that we do we don't even know because it's part of our nature, right? And this is why I said there are ups and downs. But if it's the same ups and downs for years and years and years, there's a problem. Yeah.
Wow, I agree. But tell us, do you still struggle with the flesh?
You see, the flesh has not changed. So it was going to be a trial. It's going to be the flesh is still the flesh.
That's a good point.
It's not going to change before Jesus arrives. But then the difference is that instead of letting the flesh decide what the flesh does, it's going to be the spirit
that rules over the flesh.
That's going to tell the flesh, you need to come down.
I love that. So how do you do that practically? So let's say one of your old habits, comes back, or if it does at all, what do you do? Do you just pray, or do you sing a hymn? Or
I could sing hymns,
okay,
but mostly I speak to Jesus. For me, you see, Jesus is like my companion. I remember when I was going to the baptism, I had a tooth issue. I recognized that it was the devil. He didn't want me to go to the baptism. So he gave me a tooth issue to go to the dentist. I said, Jesus, I'm going to get baptized. I'm going to meet you. I'm not going to the doctor, dentist, whatever. Whatever the tooth problem is, it's yours. It's not my teeth. It's yours. You gave it to me.
Right.
Take care of it. I'm going to get baptism.
I love that.
And then as I was going to the water, Jesus, I'm going to. It was painful.
Wow.
But I was saying, Jesus, I'm going to get baptized. It's for you. It's painful, but it's for you. Honestly,
yeah.
As soon as I got up of the water, no more pain.
What?
Until now.
Until now.
Until now.
For real?
Until
how severe was the pain before?
It was really painful.
Like 0 to 10. How much painful on that scale?
I would say a good 7.
Okay, that's pretty painful.
Good 7.
So after you get out of the water, no more pain.
No more pain.
Man, you have so many miracles in your life. That's a miracle.
Until now, 2021.
Wow.
See?
That's so good.
So, and this is one of them. I mean, I have so many that God showed me that he's there with me. But
yeah,
indeed, we have to, when the flesh comes, and it does happen that the flesh comes, but then, like I said, the flesh is not in control anymore.
The spirit is.
Before the flesh was saying something and I was listening to the flesh and let the flesh do. But now, yes, I said, Jesus, the flesh wants something. Please help me. And honestly, right away,
he comes through.
Right, I'm not waiting for hours and hours.
Instant.
Right away, instant. So it could be, go to sing something, go to read something, or anything could happen.
So the Spirit guides you
That's
into
right.
what you need to do.
That's
so the first step is call upon
Exactly.
Jesus.
This is the first one.
And
you
then he
see,
shows you.
the times that I do not speak to Jesus, I fail. That's what I noticed.
Can you repeat that?
The time
Yeah.
that I do not speak to Jesus at first, this is number one. I'm saying, okay, for instance, I want to watch a porno. I feel like I'm saying, okay, I'm going to go to listen to music. I'm going to fail.
Because you didn't talk to Jesus.
Because I didn't talk to Jesus.
So
I went straight to the music.
You wanted to find a solution for yourself.
That's right.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
That's so good and very insightful as well. You know, there's a verse that says, there's no temptation that has taken anyone, but such as is common to every man. That verse tells me that, like, for every temptation, there's a way of escape.
True.
And that's really good.
There's one, but for me,
yeah,
I would say the only one is to call on Jesus.
That's the only way of escape.
That's the only one.
So,
because I've tried, trust me,
I've tried other
so
ways,
many other ways. Every time I fail.
Wow.
Every single time. And I said, Jesus, because I didn't call you, I'm falling again.
Who would have thought it's that simple? Just call upon the name of Jesus. You know, I think the reason why most of us don't do it is because it's that simple.
Maybe.
Yeah, it feels like it's a little demeaning, too simple. I have to do something.
Yeah, something more,
yeah,
over the top or something.
Wow.
And it's so easy.
Wow.
Just say, Jesus, I'm going through this. I'm feeling that. And look, I don't want it because you don't want it. Why should I want it?
So you just surrender to Jesus.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow, I've learned a lot in this discussion than I've learned in 10 years. And I hope the viewers have as well. But just closing, this is the true closing. What's your advice to people who are going through the same thing you went through? If you could speak to them.
You see, we're on earth, we're all on earth, and we're all going through different kinds of sins or different moments of lives, or even the same kind of sin, because sin is sins, for instance, in front of God. But no matter the sin, the only way to overcome a sin is really, really to just at least say the word Jesus. Just say His name.
Wow.
And you'll see the difference.
Wow, just say His name and believe
just say
his
his
name.
Of course. I mean, just say it like, it's not a joke, right?
Right.
This is a serious matter. But another thing I would say is to, although at the beginning it's going to be something new or hard, not difficult to do, practice the habit of speaking with God. When I go to bed at night, I'm not falling asleep right away. And I'm going to a conversation with God, like He's right next to me. And I'm not seeing Him, but I know He's there by faith. So I'm saying, God, thank you for the day. I'm just about to go to sleep, and I thank you for this and that. Or today I did this and that. Oh, remember Jesus when you told me this and that? Like a person.
Yeah.
And then finally I go to sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up, Jesus, thank you. I wake up, thank you for, I had a good night's sleep. If I had a dream, I'll speak about the dream to Him. If I had a dream, I said, I didn't dream. Jesus, I didn't dream last night. Or maybe I forgot. Oh, well, thank you. Speak to Him. Just keep on the habit speaking to Him. And then as the more you do it, and then the more you do it all the time, and it grows, and this is the going up. That's the up.
I thought it's something you would do, like going to church more or singing more.
Going to church is good, or singing, or going to the sermon. That is good because this is brothership, going to meet brothers and sisters from church. But it's not just that.
It's not enough.
If you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus,
it's not going to work.
You can go to church every day. It's not going to change anything.
Wow. I believe that's really the punchline for today. And that's the secret to your growth so far.
Yeah.
And well, Jean-Michel, thank you so much for sharing your life with us. It really means a lot to me personally, and I'm sure it means a lot to many people. And I hope you guys, as you listen to this testimony, that you will be inspired and inspired. That's a new word I'm making up. Inspired by his testimony. If you have any questions, let us know in the chat. You can reach out to him. I'll put all the links in the description. He's into music right now. Tell us a bit about the music that you're doing so that people can follow that.
Yes, so I asked God, to ask him what he wants me to do, and if he wants me to do what I was supposed to do, and I never did.
Right.
It is to share the gospel through music. So I created a YouTube channel, and then I record at home the songs, and I do the videos, the visual. So I have a lot of videos right now on YouTube, and my channel is Jean-Michel Sings, which is also on Facebook, the same thing. And so people get to discover and to learn and to also get fulfilled by those songs.
All right, you've heard from the man himself. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out to him, can people reach out to you privately for help or anything?
Of course.
So you can reach out to him as well. I will leave I'll put the links in the description below. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time for another powerful interview.